He tucked a cigarette behind his ear, not to smoke it, but just to give himself a little courage. Then he walked straight up to the prison boss who was playing chess and recklessly pointed out his mistake.
What?
He's got your checkmate.
It's all right. What?
He's got your checkmate in 3 minutes.
Boss Richie frowned and shoved the board toward him. Nick was just about to happily pull up a chair, but Richie suddenly blocked him. In prison, sitting down together meant a close bond, and there was no way Richie was going to give that kind of support to a rookie who had just arrived. Still, just as Nick had said, within 3 moves, Richie's pieces would be completely trapped, which actually made Richie smile. But just when Nick thought his plan to get close had worked,
Look, shut it. You get it? In here, we're all no one.
Richie's face turned cold again, and Nick had no choice but to back off. The reason he risked everything to approach Richie was because he had witnessed his cellmate being brutalized by 3 muscle-bound predators. He knew that without protection, he'd never survive until his release. That night, his cellmate went crazy, sharpening a toothbrush against the wall. He was planning to go all out against those 3 men. Nick tried to tell him it would be useless, but when he saw the hopeless look in his eyes, he swallowed the rest of his words. The next day, during recreation, the worst happened. His cellmate gulped down water nervously, trying to hide his fear, while the 3 predators stared him down like prey. Just as they were about to pounce, Nick forced himself to step forward and intervene. The scuffle quickly drew the guards, which finally made the 3 back off. Richie took notice of Nick's guts and quick thinking, though afterward Nick was thrown into solitary for 7 days. He thought his sacrifice would at least give his cellmate some peace, but reality slapped him in the face. When he got out, Richie warned him not to stick his nose in other people's business, then took him straight to his cellmate. To Nick's horror, the 3 weren't scared off at all. In fact, they tortured his cellmate even more brutally. Guilt crushed him. That night, back in the cell, his cellmate couldn't take the torment anymore. He drove the sharpened toothbrush into his own neck. Even though Nick shouted for the guards right away, his cellmate bled out and died. But even his death didn't stop the predators. Soon, their eyes were locked on the weaker, isolated Nick. Nick realized he was next. He rushed to the bathroom, sharpened a toothbrush on the floor, and practiced fighting moves in the mirror. But his nerves rattled. Those guys were monsters compared to him. The moment he stepped out, the 3 followed with bad intentions. Just when he thought he was walking into the slaughterhouse, Richie suddenly appeared with his crew and chased them off. Then he told Nick his situation was just like chess. Once the game started, it was win or lose. No middle ground.
Because unless you're planning on fighting Plaque, this is not going to stop Dave and his cronies. I can sort this for you. But then I'm going to need your help on the outside.
Nick's mind was in turmoil. He only had a 6-month sentence and didn't want to make enemies, but the 3 predators weren't going to let him go. That night, he couldn't sleep. The next day, walking back to the cell, he felt a murderous presence closing in. In the blink of an eye, he was dragged into the bathroom. At the last second, Richie stormed in with his men. The predators kept threatening, but Richie didn't care. He told Nick to keep moving forward and leave the rest to his crew. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. One of the predators was slammed to death right in front of Nick. For the first time, he saw how terrifying Richie could be, and he had no choice but to accept Richie's deal. 6 months later, Nick was released. Following Richie's instructions, he found a crime boss named Sam, Richie's old partner, who had worked big jobs with him before. After showing Richie's token, Sam handed him a heavy suitcase. Inside were several passports and a handgun. Before Nick could even process it, there was a knock at the door. A sultry woman delivering a package, a stack of cash, car keys, and a phone. Before leaving, she told Nick that someone would call to give him further orders. Sure enough, his next stop was an abandoned parking lot, where he met an arms dealer. Seeing Nick was clueless about guns, the man personally trained him. Under his guidance, Nick's shooting skills improved fast, and soon he had mastered all kinds of weapons. Then Nick went to a private airstrip, carrying a bag full of heavy weapons. He rented a helicopter, but once they were airborne, he pulled his gun on the pilot and ordered him to fly to the prison. Meanwhile, inside, Richie had timed everything perfectly, slipping a knife to one of his men. A planted underling suddenly stirred up trouble. When the guards rushed over, they were ambushed and taken hostage, forced to open the back gate. Richie and his men bolted outside. Right then, Nick showed up as planned, raining down gunfire to cover their escape. The guards were no match for his heavy weaponry and could only watch helplessly as the group slipped out right under their noses. The helicopter later landed by the coast, where cars were already waiting. The men hopped in and sped away. Just like that, they pulled off a successful prison break.